our beliefs from life negative cognitions to positive, life positive cognitions. This is so critical. I'll talk a little bit more about this in a while, in a bit. That help you unlock your true potential by breaking free from limiting patterns. Let's look at this a little bit more in the next slide. So, next slide, please. See, powerful cognitions go beyond positive thinking. They go towards transforming or seeing things while blindfolded using the pineal gland. This actually has been affirmed by research. Scientific research has shown that some people can achieve.
So this presentation is brought to you by Nityananda Hindu University. I'm representing the research department of Nityananda Hindu University. And this is a university that is styled after the ancient Vedic, ancient Hindu universities from antiquity. Fields of psychology, philosophy, medicine, sociology. Of course, mental health is covered very widely. And from that space, he has reestablished the United States of KAILASA, which is a Hindu civilizational nation in service to Hinduism. It also has sovereign land as a sovereign state, also functions as a civilizational state and a service-based state, contributing to the communities around, and as a foundational enlightenment ecosystem, an address of tremendous respect and tremendous affection because of the positivity he's brought to our life. So some of the research is done with him, and I'll be describing him that way there. So cellular and physiologic level, and then I'll be talking about those researches that have been done, and then how it shows up in the mental health of participants, which you'll see some remarkable findings, and then we're going to talk about what is going on in the mind and brain and consciousness of Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nityananda Paramahansa, who I also call as Swamiji. Some of them would have already been part of this enlightenment ecosystem, would have already known Swamiji, and some of them would have been new. And so the Dr. Rao, he drew blood and measured gene expression before and after the program. And they looked at hundreds of different genes being expressed, and they found huge changes in gene expression in multiple pathways. But the ones I'm going to highlight here are the pro-inflammatory pathways, which create inflammation in the system, which will, at the cellular level, be inflammation, but at the system-wide level will show up as stress and disease. Many of these pro-inflammatory pathways were downregulated. And when I say downregulated, affect at the level of the organism. So based on that research, and this one was studied, the first one was published in Advances in Aging. The follow-up study was published in a journal called the Journal of Stem Cells. And based on the first study, they said, let's look at telomerase activity, and let's look at peripheral blood stem cells. Telomerase is an enzyme that works to keep the cell an increase in that is going to mean more use at a cellular level. The last thing they did, this was not published in that article, but it was around that time, they measured mitochondrial metabolism through a test called the MTT assay, which is online. But again, it's completely organized and run and attended by our Swamiji, and done through teleconferencing, just much like how this meeting is going right now. So we looked at 4 different scales associated with mental health. One is the DASS, which stands for Depression, Anxiety, Stress Scale. One is WHO-5, which looks at overall sense of well-being. One is SF-36, which looks at overall physical health and some aspects of mental health as well. And the last is MAAS, which for the depression score, anything above 10 means depression. 5.7 is the average. For this, the post scores were 2.7, so much lower than average and very far from depression. So this is going to show up as a really great state of well-being. And then we looked at anxiety. Above 8 is considered as an anxious person. The average in the US is around 6, so almost anxious. And for example, one population we looked at in research was women in infertility. The score is about 53. In many, it'll vary around the world, but many populations will be around 50 or so. In our participants, they started around 60, and then went up to around 80 afterwards. So 80 is a huge sense of well-being, extremely high sense of well-being. really, really profound. And you can see again, if you look at the line graph and the bar graphs, everything's just going up. So really a profound sense of well-being. I started off at 4.29 or 4.25, so almost at the level of a Zen meditator at the beginning. And again, this may reflect some people were already involved with this lifestyle, which supports a sense of mindfulness. But at the end, it went all the way up to 4.8, 4-point jump. The paired analysis just missed statistical significance. The p-value is 0.51. The trend, I think, speaks for itself. But in this PET scan of the brain, when Swamiji would activate his third eye through his will, the area that's called the mesiofrontal lobe, which is where the frontal lobes meet, right at the area where the chakra of the third eye, as per Hindu structure, Hindu spiritual anatomy, right where that is, that area would light up in the brain when you would activate his third eye, which I think is really fascinating. And then on EEG, which measures brain activity, then this is the one that I think is most fascinating. There's a Dr. William Collins. This was done in 2005 in St. Louis. He's a neurofeedback researcher who was looking at EEG. And he noticed when he got a baseline reading, he kept changing the probes and changing the settings because he said there's almost no activity on the EEG as baseline. Means when he was sitting there in a calm state, the brain was just completely quiet electrically. There was very little activity, which we will posit will correlate with a low thoughts per second, very little mental activity. Again, their whole brain of that person would go into a high gamma activity. So we're positing that this is how an EEG of initiation looks. When a being who has attained this state of consciousness, which I'm calling as a super consciousness, that's a goal of Vedic traditions, yogic traditions, Hinduism, and they transmit it to someone they're healing or a disciple, and he is doing initiations to his disciples or people visiting his ashram as well. He puts their brain in gamma waves, high amplitude gamma waves, which is a very specific kind of gamma wave that's almost never seen. So real quick primer on brain waves. Brain waves is the measurement of the electrical activity in the brain through an EEG, which is like an EKG for the brain, electroencephalogram. You can see double. You'll notice this illustration doesn't have gamma waves. Part of that is because gamma waves, people didn't even know about them until relatively recently because you normally cannot see them on a normal EEG. They were normally detected with something called a QEEG, where you take a computer and look at the raw data and see tiny little, very, very low amplitude, up and down, high frequency waves that you can't really see with your naked eye, but the computer. So if we're looking at Alzheimer's prevention, which is a huge global issue, gamma waves, I think, are definitely something to look at. And they're currently working on devices using sound and light to sort of reverse engineer that state. We would posit that it can also be created through spiritual activities and mind-body interventions. The last group I'll talk about is long-term meditators. These were Tibetan Buddha developing this capacity, which means this level, which we're positing as a space of super consciousness, very high level of consciousness that correlates with concepts of enlightenment that have been talked about throughout history. This level, this capacity can be built in people and built in large groups of people over time. So this is raw data of an EEG of a very high level disciple of Swamiji, and you can see TPS is thoughts per second, means completely quiet mind. And their whole sense of space will be just completely spacious and unclutched. So we're really excited about this. I think it has tremendous significance for humanity on many levels. And we're excited to research it further. So we'll be talking a little more at the end. Anyone who's out there who's listening, if you're interested in this space of consciousness and how to recreate it and measure it and study it, please connection to higher consciousness, yoga power, and then knowing pursuit of powerful cognitions means knowing yourself that is worthy of having this life experience and can express this life experience.
Which actually denote that kind of a state, right? So there is a meditation. We just wanted to play a little video about a meditation that can help you get to that state and calm your mind down. Like very often we are.
It should be audible now.
Nothing can be compared to the unclutching, maintain, fight with, try to destroy, any way engage, do not do anything with your internal thought process. Just unclutch. And I tell you, it will develop. You will sit with yourself in a very matured way, highly matured way. Sit with yourself with highest maturity. Creating, maintaining, destroying, fighting, engaging, all thought process.
And so forth. So it's an association of thoughts that create. Then you don't associate them, and then they just become random series of thoughts which don't affect you. That's the whole idea. So initially you can. So are you sharing the audio from your output from your computer?
Yeah.
While sharing video? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. Maybe I'll turn up the volume. Are you able to hear it now?
No.
How about now?
Unclutch from those also. So there is a series, as you hear things, those are also thoughts. They're triggering thoughts inside of you. So next time, just keep unclutching deeper and deeper, and you'll see this deep sense of silence coming in. So it's a great technique. You can try it anytime. There's no specific time or place where you should do this. You can do it anytime. With that, I'll invite Dr. Arang K. And Dr. Sandeep and Dr. Nirmala to take us on to the next session. Thank you.
Kind of quantified the mood based on validated scales, looking at anxiety and depression. We have seen that yoga and meditation has a positive effect, but recently we're able to actually look at the brain structure itself and brain functioning and how it actually is affected negatively in depression and positively in yoga and meditation. And then Dr. Pandav will be talking about the role of the gut-brain axis. So it turns out not only the brain is important, but the gut, in a sense, is the second brain. It has a very extensive nervous system called the enteric nervous system, and there's a communication between the can make a huge impact, and it could reduce the costs associated with current treatment model based on medications, therapy, which is expensive, medications have side effects. And so we can go on to the next slide. So many studies have been done on depression, looking actually system is affected. The white matter is very important and this is how different areas of brain communicate. And you can see here, when there's specialized studies done on white matter tracts, these are negatively impacted in depression. And the colored portions of the brain imaging studies show, for example, some white matter pathways or tracts which are negatively affected in depression. We can move on to the next slide. So what has been really, in a way, groundbreaking is that hippocampus are very important for memory and handling your stress. These are enhanced in practitioners of yoga. Areas like the insula, superior temporal gyrus, occipital gyrus, and cerebellum are important for emotional awareness, processing of language and speech, as well as empathy. So being able to empathize with others and relate to others, interact with others. All of these areas are very important for that. And these are enhanced with increased amount structurally, but also functionally. So we have functional MRI studies, which look more than the brain structure. It looks at different areas of brain that are activated at one, during certain tasks. And basically, functional MRI studies have shown that there's increased activation in practitioners of meditation in regions of the brain involved in it. Also, imaging studies have looked at the thickness of the cortex. This contains the brain cells or neurons. And it turns out these are thicker in various brain regions listed there. These are regions that are important for emotions, decision making. Tend to have a lower level of norepinephrine. This is a brain chemical associated with anxiety. And they've been shown to have increased amounts of dopamine as well. The dopamine is the brain chemical responsible for the feeling of pleasure or reward. Interestingly, studies in both yoga and meditation practitioners have shown that they have lower levels of a very important hormone called cortisol. This is a stress hormone after. And looked at a brain chemical called GABA, which is very important for regulating our mood and reducing anxiety. And they showed there was a significant improvement in the amount of anxiety and depression that they were experiencing before and after, to the point that many were no longer depressed. And the GABA activity was boosted basically to the same level as people who were healthy and who did not have depression.
Affects what happens in the brain. So the next question comes is, how can we impact the gut in a best possible way? So, the whole food plant-based diet, which is called Sattvic diet, which basically comprises of diseases and as well as the autoimmune diseases. So in nutshell, basically, the healthy microbiome is caused by whole food plant-based diet. Next slide. For the video.
We're waiting for you to quickly go over this slide.
Okay, yeah, so inflammation is higher in some people with depression. Whole food plant-based diet reduces inflammation, antioxidants, phytochemical, and promotes a balanced neurotransmitter system. Elimination of animal foods reduce inflammation and carcinogens, as I was telling you. People who ate raw fruits and vegetables versus cooked or canned fruits and vegetables had significantly improved mood. And as I talked about, processed and packaged food are harmful.
Muscle memory, biomemory recorded in it, that becomes part of you. You become prone to that pain. You become prone to that pain. That's the reason I request you to be a vegetarian.
Okay, now we'll have a very quick summary and very, very, very brief.
In other words, reaching our full potential, mind, body, and consciousness. So I'd just like to open up the discussion now to also Dr. Bandhav and Dr. Nirmala Shivaji. And maybe we can discuss how the Hindu lifestyle practices that Swamiji is promoting have made an impact in our mental well-being. And so maybe if we'd like to go ahead and start, maybe Dr. Bandhav can talk about what is Nirahara Samyama and how his experience that he's had with that.
Sure. I always practice whole food plant-based diet through this, and you can add further.
Yes, yes, definitely. I have done the Nirahara Samyama a few times, and this was something that's completely new to me. I think only Swamiji talks about this. I had, been practicing different Hindu spiritual practices and lifestyle measures, but this was something completely different. So I definitely experienced very similar to Dr. Pandav. Of course, there was weight loss, but that feeling of lightness and energy. Dr. Shivaji, you're muted.
Sorry. So sorry about it. So it's other than the other benefits of what you were said, mental clarity, and you're more happier and more lighter and all that. What happened was I used to get every summer allergic reactions. So when I go to the garden, even the lawn, I'm really very bad allergy. So I had to take antihistamine all the time. And it actually affected my work style as well. So it was, I think, about 12 years ago, Swamiji introduced the Nirahara Samyama, 12, 13 years ago. The first time I did the Nirahara Samyama, after that, it's completely gone. I don't take any antihistamines. I'm completely, and after that, I did 2 times of Nirahara. Even with the first time, it disappeared. I thought this is,
12 components, 12 aspects of yoga, which is very unique. And of course, other yogas are also part of this lifestyle. And so thank you so much, you guys, for this discussion. We could discuss so much longer. We've met some time constraints. So we're going to move on to the next session, which is a pranayama breathing exercise. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So simple technique is called Shitali Pranayama, and references are given here. These are all scriptural references. You can search for them online. You can actually find them. Shitali Pranayama is a technique to really cool down and de-stress. So it's a very easy technique. Sit up straight and roll your tongue. And just put it outside of your mouth just a little bit. And you will actually feel it in your chest, in the middle of your chest. If you don't feel it, try breathing in a little bit more deeper. Continue doing this. It's very simple. It's breathing in through one nostril and breathing out through the other nostril. So you start off by holding your thumb, pressing your right nostril with your thumb, and then breathing in through only your left nostril. Right now, I'm going to only teach you the humming part. Just close your eyes, take a deep breath, and then hum deeply and intensely without stopping. As long as possible, just hum. And then when your humming stops, it flushes negative thoughts and anxiety from your head and just fills it with the hum that is pure thoughts, nothing else, right? Let's try doing this for a few times. For a while. Okay, relax. Done together, they actually have very powerful medicinal, sorry, I won't say medicinal, it's a very powerful effect in cooling the body, right? So we're going to talk about kriyas at the end of this whole session. Wait till then to hear a little bit more, but you can search online for Nityananda kriyas and you will find them. Okay, with this, let's move on to the next section. Okay, here I'm going to talk about sustainable mental health and AI, who suffer more often from mental health issues that, like we shared before, are the ones who are unable to access such resources. At least one thing that everyone needs, like people need a spiritual solution for mental health. And if you think about it, an everyday companion, which is easily available at their fingertips to handle emotions on a daily basis, but maybe even answer bigger mental health access to people. Let's go to the next slide. Today's AI is actually super powerful. It can be very conversational in asking questions and getting answers. And it can be very personal. It can be very powerful solution. With that, I want to say a little bit about Nityananda.ai. This is actually a solution that Nityananda KAILASA has developed as a scalable solution for people to ask questions and get answers. It's very easy. Go to Nityananda.ai, or you can use the barcode that's demo, because it can take time. But here I'm going to show you a demo. This is like a video that I captured on my real demo. I captured a video. For example, I'm asking the question, whenever I even stay at work a little bit late, I notice that I'm very anxious about how my wife will feel. What do I do about it? This AI makes use of the, if you can pause the video here, Peter, it arises from separation between these two responsibilities and understanding that these two are both parts of you. And if you understand it from that wholeness perspective, you can actually handle the situation in a much better way. So it's a very powerful message that it helps you understand that you are a whole and you can't divide yourself into different personalities. Can we press play again? The next question is about, yeah, I just, yeah, this next section is about asking for yoga and meditation techniques for de-stressing, and it chooses techniques from scriptures and shares them with you. Anyway, that's the quick demo. Let's move on to the next section. Okay, now I hand it over to Dr.
The incidence of mental illness among women. 1 in 5 women experience a mental health issue every year. Women are diagnosed with anxiety and depression twice as men. 25 points in self-denial and self-hatred. Discrimination and gender inequality, experience of sexism, workplace discrimination, and the gender pay gap can lead to chronic stress. Relationship dynamics, women often become on emotional labor. So the causes are different. Now, when we look at the modern day treatments of mental illness, women seeking it, many patients either they use medications, cannot be compliant and quit, or they become more and more dependent on medication, but the end results are not permanent cure and it doesn't address the mental disorders. And usually, so by knowing the different reasons for women's mental illness and also the available treatments are not that effective, let's learn from KAILASA a holistic approach with proven results by empowering women. So when we go into the depth of the empowering methods before, so let's read this very powerful verses from Manuvati Dharma Shastra, a system or family or a team or a community together. So women have their own intuitive intelligence in the field of keeping something very stable, keeping it together and making it functional. So Hinduism creates an ecosystem for every woman to manifest that possibility and that power. So this is the great way to start, where Manuvati Dharma Shastra and Swamiji making a foundation in KAILASA, bringing the ancient Hindu wisdom, reviving the ancient Hindu wisdom and creating a KAILASA with various projects empowering women. Let's look at details about each level, how this empowering happening in the KAILASA. These provided and along with spiritual and psychological support and counseling to all women. So over 10 billion US dollars have been invested, ordains women and allows women to perform temple rituals. This is the real true reviving of the ancient Hindu tradition. So there are 108 free educational economic projects are functioning at KAILASA since 2009. Here are some 5, the most important I'm mentioning here. The KAILASA's Nityananda Lakshmi, the world's first Hindu microfinance project for women. Here it gives the economic freedom. The next slide.
Only feminine.
Yeah, I think it's a video to be played. Let's hear from Swamiji, his powerful message and a description of a woman by him.
Energy can be given the world. Only feminine energy can be. It would have been completely family-based civilization. So naturally, everybody would have had their basic needs. All the basic needs would have been supplied to the whole world. Only the feminine energy need to be awakened. Only that can be called as sacred. Let me define the sacred feminine. Understand? The extraordinary creativity.
And being there in women during their most sensitive time, pregnancy, delivery, taking care of all age group women, I want to share only after being part of the KAILASA, multiple initiations from Swamiji, the multi-dimension of myself that we realize, and also that I want to give a true statement here to all the viewers and listeners to hear that I'm well known for my surgery in my hospital and where I'm practicing. And after being with world with excellent health and bliss, and bless me with the wisdom and energy to serve women always, and Swamiji to bless every woman all over the world. And here, the science of completion, it's one of the solutions for all mental disorders. It's a meditation technique based on the science of enlightenment revealed and taught by His Divine Holiness. And it works prevent and treat all kinds of mental disorders, not only for women, it's for everyone. It relieves unresolved emotions and past traumas, building resilience and improving healthy relationship, and leads to an empowered life. And there is a short video, listen from his powerful words and transforming message to all.
Second, no, this is, even if it is true, not for me. No, this may be true for the people who don't have to work for their food and paying the bills. No, maybe it is true for the people who are sitting in KAILASA and enjoying the happy, free life. All kinds of thought currents will come inside. Sit, have little patience, clear and do completion. Understand? This is the initiation I am giving to all of you. Sit in front of mirror, pen down all these patterns and fears and everything. Intense ability, patterns which tells you, no, you need to be dependent internally, externally, other than Paramashiva. Pen down all of that. Whatever patterns tells you, you need to be internally, externally dependent on something else other than Paramashiva. Pen down. bend down. Sit in front of mirror and start completing all those patterns and incidents, root incidents, everything. Let all the incompletions.
Unique challenges for mental health. Then we have the next slide. So I have here some of the fact sheets from World Health Organization. We'll quickly go over. 1 in 7, 10 to a 19-year-old experience mental disorders. And another alarming number is 13% of this is a global burden of disease in this age group. And suicide is the 4th leading cause of death in the education system, and it can be sustainable development. Can we stay on the previous slide? In Hindu education system, basic tools to awaken knowledge are taught, and other consciousness-based approaches, which were discussed earlier, practiced on a regular basis, including yoga, meditation, educational. Here is the result of whole brain activation studies for which Bender Gestalt test was performed. This test assesses visual motor. These high scores are indicative of above average results. So this is impressive numbers. On the next slide, we have numbers from Sloan IQ test, which is highly validated intelligent test, measures a variety of capabilities, including comprehension, arithmetic, and visual motor capabilities. And these results showed 50% of students with total English immersion fell into category of genius and very high superior intelligence. IQ score of to change to integrate such education into conventional curriculum. And of course, as I said, more studies are needed for this evidence, but policies to change and integrate this education into conventional curriculum would be a good, sustainable development. Okay, I hand over to next speaker.
And all the research we've published has been very remarkable, very outside of the ordinary findings. And we're very sure the more research we do, the more we're going to find things like this. So anyone who wants to collaborate, we'd love to talk to you. My email and Peter Bloomfield, my email, and Sri Mukta Ananda, his email to stay. We invite you to stay for our kriya, which will be led by Dr. Mukta Ananda. Shall I play the video, Mukta, or do you want to speak first?
Yes. Play the, I think, like I said before, kriya is a combination of yoga positions, yoga asanas, breathing techniques, and visualization. And Swamiji
and disturbances, disease, disorders, disturbances, expresses itself in different ways.
The human body has 7 circuits: blood circuit, circulatory system, the pipelines, and in outlet taps through which the water reaches the end users. Similarly, the Kundalini energy reaches the different parts of the body through the 72,000 nadis or energy channels. Let's say, for instance, there is a block somewhere in the circuit of pipelines. Then what happens? There is no flow of water. Then you identify and correct the block. Even if the blockage is removed, water has to be pumped in.
Now, if your body is put in certain position, that energy blockages get removed. The energy circulation, that plumbing, gets properly aligned. The wiring gets properly aligned. After that, the kumbhaka starts pumping the energy into that circuit. See, putting your body in certain asana makes the ordinary kumbhaka, ordinary pranayama. It is like 2 different chemicals. Separately, if you take, it may take 10 years for you to cure the disease. But mixed properly in certain combination, it removes the disease in 2 days, in one dosage.
The kriyas help to restore
Chanting of some mantra internally. See, internally when you create the sound, it's called mantra. Externally when you listen, it's called chanting. So, mantra, internal verbalization. Fifth, chanting, external, the sound you are hearing. And sixth, now I am adding.
Shall I start the music and then you'll announce the kriya?
Yeah, I can just walk everybody through the kriya. It's actually, the kriya has 3 steps. It's a kriya for hypertension, which also relieves stress. Hypertension essentially is a high blood pressure, which happens because of stress, right? So this kriya has simple 3 steps. It actually builds on top of what we did before, right? Earlier, and then you just put your hands around your knees and hug them and pull them closer. That's it, right? So that way you are sitting with your knees drawn in and your heels touching as close to your body as possible. You just have to look ahead. That's the posture. Peter will show the picture. That's the second step. In that posture, you just hum intensely. And then breathe in again through your right and breathe out through the left. This is one cycle. Do this cycle for 21 times. Let's start with that. That's the step 1. Step 2 is this picture. Sit like this picture, holding your knees close to your chest, and then do intense humming. That's for 7 minutes. And then finally, we leave you with the minutes. You can play the music too, Peter. Thanks. The intense, you will feel the intense humming, coolness all over your body. Just lie down and uncut from all thoughts. But we just wanted to share some experiential, some experiences with you, so you can find out for yourself. It's very powerful, not only in de-stressing, but also in performing to your life's best.